and welcome everybody to my Cheyenne Hawk pen in-depth lining video. So, what is this video about? This video is about how deep to go into the skin. And as you can see here on screen, Shazam, this is another subscriber request. So to you, sir, go ahead and enjoy my palaterations. I don't even know if that's a word. It might be. But that's neither here nor there. So, this is about how deep you can go into the skin without blowing out lines, ruining lines, or scarring or hurting someone or causing them excessive trauma to the skin that you just don't need, you know? It's just without causing all that, excess pain that people are like, oh man, I'm bleeding my butthole, oh, it hurts, it sucks. So, to avoid that kind of nonsense, this is some of the things that you are going to follow. Now, disclaimer, this is how it works, okay? Big, huge fucking disclaimer, okay? A, once again, not a qualified teacher. I'm not here saying I am, I don't know, Dumbledore or fucking Mrs. Terwilliger from 3rd grade class. I'm not saying any of that shit. I am not a qualified teacher, okay? B, I am only giving my opinion as to what I've learned over time, over studying, over experience, and over all the good shit that makes me the type of artist that I am today, okay? There is science to it, but I'm going to give you what I have learned and some things that you can reference, with the magic of the internet, okay? C, once again, I will have to repeat A, not a qualified teacher. But for you to understand C, you're gonna have to understand A. So, this does have, letter C is this is backed by science, but what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to do a lot of research because there is a lot of fucking variables to this particular subject when it comes to tattooing. There just is. And there's no way to get around it. Goddamn, I've tried. There's just no way to get around this particular subject. This one specifically. Okay? And then D, which is the biggest one, is always, God damn it, D. You're so big. You're so veiny. D is variables, and this is the thing. So this is how deep to go into the skin, and the biggest variable of all is where are you going in the skin? Are you going in the hand? Are you going in the eyes? Are you going on the face? Are you going in the fucking butthole? Are you going to go in someone's leg? Are you going to go in someone's arm? Are you going to go in someone's chest? Are you going in some nipples? Where are you going in the skin matters to where and how deep you can go. So that's the biggest thing. That's why D is so big, because it's all about variables. Okay? So if you guys have a difference of opinion, either give me an educated one, or please probably suck an entire bag of dicks. Okay? All of them. Nom. Slap yourself in the face with them. I don't give a fuck. So, that being said, let's go on to the number one thing about needle depth. Okay? Now I'm going to give it to you in millimeters, and the first thing is needle depth, which is the entire thing of this, video. So there's no number ones, but just listen. So it works like this, right? The first thing you're going to have to know is that there's 3 stable measuring tools that you can use, and they're coins. They're currency. Yay! You can use money. Everybody loves money, right? Because it helps you buy like nipple salve and butt plugs. Yay! Okay, cool. So let's attack a dime. A dime is 1.40 in millimeters, and inches is 0.053 in inches. It's here up on the screen, and I'll leave it up the whole time I'm talking so you can see what the fuck I'm saying. So a nickel is 1.75 in millimeters, and then inches, well, there you go. I'm not gonna go through all the measurements. You see what they are, right? Cool. Now that you know this, and you see this information here on screen, right? Again, this is all information that, like, let's say you're watching this in Europe or whatever, you could always just go on Google and Google the currency of your country, and if they have 3 different types, they have 1 different type, doesn't matter. You could always Google whatever it is that you're going to use as a measuring tool to measure the depth of where you're going. So that's rule number 1. Have a standard unit of measurement that you are going to use when you are going into the skin. And that gets us to the next portion of this all, is the skin. So let's choose one place. And we're going to choose the hand. Boom, up on screen again. Here is the hand, right? Cool, the hand. So the hand, depending on where, but let's just say it's the general density or depth. The general depth, there you go. I don't know why I said density. The general depth of this hand is 1.5 millimeters, here up on screen. And let's discuss some very scientific terms that have to do with the hand and skin in general. There are 3 parts to your skin, mostly, right? So you have the epidermis, the upper layer, the part of your body that you fucking throw away every time you take a shower or you're fapping to your heart's content. The epidermis. Then you have the dermis, which is the more meatier, the pinker portion of your skin. Yes? Cool. And underneath that, you have the subcutaneous tissue. And the subcutaneous tissue is something that no one wants to see, because that shit sucks if you see the subcutaneous. It's pretty bad, bro. It's pretty bad. Anyway, so what you want to do is that you want to keep in mind that the epidermis, or the upper layer of the skin. It has a layer thickness of 0.05 here up on screen in my cool little animation. So it's at a 0.05. That's how deep the epidermis is, and it's pretty much how far the epidermis goes. So the epidermis is the part of the skin that removes, that goes away, that does not stay. You won't keep it. The epidermis will go bye-bye and you'll never see it again. So that's not where you want your particular tattoo to be. You want your tattoo to be somewhere in between the epidermis and the dermis. And as you can see, the dermis is 0.3 millimeters in thickness. Now, you don't want your needles to go all the way through the dermis into the subcutaneous tissue, because guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna scar, and the person's gonna be under a lot of pain, a lot of pressure, and most of all, you'll have that fuzzy, and the entire skin will then be promoted to remove itself completely. So then you'll have scar tissue, and then you're just gonna lose most, if not all, the tattoo. Again, most, if not all. But again, let's refer to D in the disclaimer. A lot of this is variable. Some people, when they scar, they keep some of it, some people don't. It's a big variable here. But these are general rules of thumb and some science, okay? So, as you can see, you have somewhere between 0.05 and 0.3 millimeters to play with. You have to get it somewhere in between the epidermis and the dermis. You're shooting for the dermis because that's the sweet spot, okay? But you're gonna wanna just break past that 0.05 just a bit so your ink can stay. So you're kind of gonna go stealth with it. You're kind of trying to deposit your ink in a place where it's not gonna be promoted to scar, and it's not gonna be promoted to reject. And by reject, I mean, don't put it so high up on the epidermis where the person, after they take a couple showers, they're gonna be like, oh man, my tattoo flaked off, what the fuck? No! You suck so much dick! You don't want that. Okay? You do not want that to happen. You want to make sure that you find that sweet spot. And here is the biggest problem with that. Skin varies depending on where you are. Just because the hand is 1.5 millimeter in thickness does not mean that your eyelid is any thicker or thinner. It does not mean that the folds on the wrist, like your skin is subsequently more thin wherever you bend a joint versus where you do not. So on the forearm, it may be thicker than on the kneecap. And on the kneecap, it may be thicker than it is behind the kneecap. In the ditch of your knee, you don't know. You don't know if it's thinner or thicker there, or if you just have, let's say, skin problems. You're thin. Your skin might be thinner or thicker depending whether you have skin problems, whether you have diabetes, whether you are overweight, whether you are underweight, whether you have just lost a large substantial amount of weight, and your skin's elasticity, which ironically is a video that I talked about stretching a while ago. Yeah. So there's a lot of variables, man. There's a lot of variables. But without getting too far into that, haha, pun intended, right? So without getting too far into that, just make sure that you clearly understand that most of this is a huge variable. Again, there's rules of thumb, that you can follow, just like the dime, the nickel, and the quarter. And again, depending on where you are across the planet that you are seeing this, it depends on whatever unit of measurement you are using. Again, you can still use the US currency because I put them in millimeters, and I'm pretty sure that there's only 2 types of measurement across the world. I mean, I could be wrong because, sometimes I don't math much, but, whatever. So you can totally figure out how far deep you want to go into the skin. But here's the conundrum. You're gonna have to watch the skin, because no matter if you have it solid in your mind that, the hand skin is 1.5 millimeters and the fucking eyeball skin is fucking 0.5 millimeters and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't fucking matter. You don't know this particular person. You do not know what kind of diseases they have, what kind of diseases they don't have, whether they have a genetic implication or they don't. You just don't know. You don't fucking know. Unless you're tattooing the same exact person for your entire life and they happen to be a millionaire, which in that case, can I get the hookup? I'll just tattoo a little portion of it. I'm just saying, whatevs. But unless you're like every other tattoo artist has a pretty variant amount of clientele whom, they don't really know who's walking through the fucking door. You just have to watch the skin ultimately and keep these as rules of thumb. Just keep them as rules of thumb. You know, I'm gonna put a link down below in the description that is to like a very, very interesting article about skin depth and skin types. But again, I always encourage you to do your own research as to what it is that you are tattooing that particular day. If you have the luxury and the desire of like saying, I have a 3 o'clock and I'm gonna tattoo a hand, let me see how deep or how far my needles can go out into the skin, whether you like to ride the tube or not. It all depends. There's so many variables. But let's say you want to do some research as to the body part that you're tattooing, and then once you're tattooing it, make sure that you're paying attention. Pay attention, look at how the skin is reacting. Is it hamburgering up? Is it spotting and bleeding when it should be? You know what I mean? What's really happening when this tattoo process is going down? Because that will ultimately lead you to know how it heals. Is it just getting irritated? Is it just plasmaing? You know what I mean? Like, you can see when the skin is unhappy with you. You can tell. Young people tattoo very differently from people who are a little bit older. And you can tell that someone has had a rough life versus a good life, whether they have a lot of vitamin E in their diet and whether they don't. At least if you pay attention, you will be able to see these things. But that's what it boils down to. How much attention are you paying to the tattoo process? How much attention are you paying to this whole entire issue? What are you really doing? Are you really looking at what's happening? And if you are, make sure that you keep these needle depth as kind of a rule of thumb. And I can never say it enough, and I sound like a goddamn broken record, but it's true. You can't think that, number one, I, again, am not qualified for this shit, but again, this is just tips that can definitely help. I mean, they could be a very good tool, but you have to be attentive, and most of all, you have to have the drive to go a little bit beyond, especially if you're just not aware of certain information. I'm not gonna say uneducated, because that can sound like an insult, but what I'm saying is if you're just not aware of certain information, we all can improve, and every day we all grow more and more. So if this is part of that growing process, I suggest that you dive deep. Oh, that tickled me. That tickled me. Dive deep into the subject. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It lets me know you guys are liking this video. And as always, leave a comment down below. Hopefully it's positive. Hopefully it's positive, because I have not stressed enough all the disclaimers, you know? So leave a comment down below. It really lets me know what you guys are thinking and where I can help you out. And again, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, because it helps your boy out. As they say in Mother Russia, das vidanya, comrades.